Hi guys,
Hello and hello guys and
oh,
welcome this to the politics on Parrot TV. My name is Sainabou and I'll be your anchor for today. And today we have the councilman in New York City for each district, and Miss Carmen right here is continuing to actually make an introduction. I do apologize, we had some technical difficulties. So if you wouldn't mind starting again, Mr. Perry.
Sure. My name is Pierre Gooding. I'm running for City Council in District 9 Harlem. It's our second time running for City Council. I'm incredibly excited to have this all-star panel of individuals that we've worked with in the community, including City Councilwoman Farquharson, who we've worked with on legal matters and also on creating positive change in Harlem and Mount Vernon. Latchmi, Gopal, our Bronx sister, who's running for City Council as well. We've had her on our community program, a great candidate. We're pulling for her. And Carmen, we've had the pleasure of working with on the Eric Adams campaign. So a lot of talent here, a lot of knowledge about City Council, how to run the right way. And so I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you for joining us. And Miss Carmen?
First let me say good afternoon to everyone. You guys look amazing. You know, it's I'm running for City Council in the District 7. Been active almost 35 years. Also the president of Douglas Houses. I have 3,000 residents that I take care of. And I say take care of because right now, since March, actually, we've been distributing food, not only to Douglas, but I had to take care of 12 different developments because of the food insecurities that were happening. We're still giving out food. We do it every second Monday and Tuesday and Thursday. We give out 17,000 pounds of food. It's amazing. But this is one of the reasons why I'm running, because COVID showed me that we're on our own and we can't depend on anyone. And I don't believe in bashing any elected officials. I don't do that, but they were a no-show. And so when you start seeing what is happening in your community and you find yourself, you know, with your hands up like this, and you're all alone, then you know that things have to change. We definitely are the new people that are coming in. We know what it is, you know, to suffer. We come from it, right? And so we definitely have to fight, not only for our seniors, we gotta fight for our children. I have 19 grandkids and I'm blessed with 12 great grand. It is impossible for me not to be in this race. We have to do better. And the only reason I really decided to run was COVID. When I saw the insecurities, when I saw, you know, the desperation of our people. And I'm living this every day. As I talk to you, my management office is shutting down. 5 caretakers were positive for COVID. So now I have no management office and no management. And so from last night on, my phone has been off the hook. Leaks, you name it, we have it all. And so I'm not gonna keep on with that, but this is a time when we need to stick together, get together, and if whatever doesn't work, we need to get rid of it. We need to stop doing business as usual. This is not business as usual. These are human lives, and that's what we need to be taking care of. Human lives. This running and just electing people because they give you a bar of cheese is not working. And so when you're down here getting down and dirty, that's really what we need. And I've been doing this 35 years. I think I've elected more elected officials than I can count. I've been a Democratic district leader, state committee woman. I've been chief of staff. So, you know, I'm well prepared to become city council. And I love this group. because all of you are doing the same thing that I am doing. And please tell your graduate class, Delilah, to reach for the stars.
Thank you.
All right then, hello.
Yes.
And we have Mrs. Parkinson.
Sure. I'm Delia Farquharson. I'm a city council member in Mount Vernon, which is your next door neighbor in the Bronx, your northern neighbor in the Bronx. And I am an incumbent, but I'm an incumbent running independently because I refuse to bow to the status quo. And that's how Pierre and I came to work together on a lawsuit that kind of attacked some of those systems. But I'm really delighted to be here because I think it's important to recognize that we are not separated by borders. We are separate, we are joined rather by common challenges, common problems that affect people that look like all of us, right? So whether it's Mount Vernon or the Bronx or Harlem, the problem affects all of us in the same way. And I was saying before that my brother lives in the Bronx, my cousins live in Harlem, my cousins live in the Bronx. And so because
I'm sorry, Mrs. Ferguson, we're having a difficult time hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Much better, thank you, yes.
Yeah, and so because that is so, it's really important for us to be working collaboratively, cooperatively together to attack the systemic oppression, to attack the real significant problems that impact our people, you know, whether it's food insecurity or housing insecurity or homelessness or greedy development, you know, whatever it is that is affecting our people across the region. So when it comes to regional representation of politics, it makes sense for us to know each other, to be working together so that we can united defeat this system that has kept our people oppressed for so long. So I'm really happy to be here. I'll spend a few more minutes before I must run to talk to the graduating class from the Youth Bureau, but I'm really delighted to be here. So thank you.
It is our pleasure having you here. And tell them we said congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, Ms. Gopal, please.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Latchmi Gopal. It's hard to follow that, but I just want to echo what was just described around the fact that we have these district lines and borders that are meant to separate us when we think about representation or access or the ability to get our communities what they need. Food insecurity was mentioned here, systems of oppression. And really that is, as a community organizer who's been doing the work on a local and national level, why I'm running for city council. It's really to hold that budget accountable to the people in the Bronx who have been disproportionately impacted by COVID, like described, but really COVID just exposed the lack of safety nets. We have a government and a budget that has been purposefully neglected and not utilized to make sure that we're able to survive, let alone thrive in the Bronx. And excited to be here with you all. And I think, you know, like Ms. Ferguson just described, we are not in this alone, and we need to start being collaborative when we think about the ways in which we can strategize and bring our communities together around collective change, because that's really what needs to happen when we look at rapid response and long-term infrastructure build out in the Bronx, in Mount Vernon, and in Harlem.
And building off what Latchmi said, I was born in the Grand Houses. That's technically District 7, Margaret Douglas, PS 36, where I'm supposed to go to school, technically Carmen's district. But we're going to work together to create positive change in our schools, whether it's District 9, District 7. You have overlap even in your school districts with CEC District 5 and other school districts. So we have to work together. We've been doing it. And like Carmen said, this group is sort of ready to create that positive change at the city council level, and city council Farquharson has already been doing it for a number of years. So it's time to go.
All right, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. It's our pleasure to have you here so that we can have some questions answered. Ms. Ferguson, like you said, you've been in this for a long time. Do you believe that the change that you guys are speaking of is possible for you guys right now within this, well, in our timeline, I would say?
Absolutely.
Within the next 5 years, do you believe this is something we can achieve?
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, that the system that exists, the status quo is how I like to refer to it, on its knees. It really is on its knees. And there are folks who are working hard to hold on to things the way they have been. But this group of new, progressive, really civic-minded people with integrity who are in races all over the region recognize that getting the crumbs from the table hasn't worked. We've been getting crumbs for decades. Some people have been getting crumbs for decades, while the crooks have been getting away with the cake. And what COVID exposed is that all the resources have been taken from our community. And if we don't stand up, like Ms. Carmen has been doing, and really feeding the people, nobody's coming to save us. So it can work, it does work, because we have survived and are surviving this. And we're only surviving this because of people with integrity, like Pierre, like Latchmi, like Ms. Carmen, who have actually been doing the work. And so now it's to hold others accountable and to expose that it can be done, because look, I am doing it. So we know it can be done because I am doing it. So here in Mount Vernon, that's what I've done. I've been unapologetic in my voting. I've been unapologetic in my position, because I am always standing up for the good of the people. The welfare, the well-being of the community is why I am here, and I refuse to compromise that.
I do believe that you did mention that in your platform that you are more so about transparency and opening up so that the community feels involved in what is happening. I do believe Ms. Gopal, I'm sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I do know that she also is pretty much kind of in the same in the same wave of thinking, because she would want to kind of keep it strictly in the community. She's mostly more community based with even her campaign. And so what I would assume is called grassrooting. And I was wondering, why did you choose to go to that route? Because there's so much easier ways where you could have the private sector kind of help you invest, help with the community, where you're saying, you know what, we don't want your help here because you haven't done anything really in the past couple of years. We want to handle it ourselves and see what we can do. Like, what brought that about for you? If you mind touching upon that, please.
Is that me?
That's Ms. Gopal.
Gopal, okay.
Yes, I know. If Ms. Ferguson, if you want to answer though, because I know you
No,
have to head out
go ahead.
first.
No, I just wanted to
before.
be clear.
Oh yeah, no
go ahead.
problem. I think, I think the answer is right there in the question, right? It's the idea of who are we accountable to? And if you're taking real estate developer money, if you are not working directly with community, if you are not focused directly on having dialogue where you can have group decision making when it comes to policy development, or when it comes to how your campaign is going to be run, is a reflection of what you're going to be doing in this elected official seat and as a public servant. And so really for me, making sure that community is at the center of it and that we are having these actionable dialogues are a big part of it. And I look at my particular race, so it's an open seat as well. There's a special election right on Tuesday, March 23rd, and there are 10 folks running, and there are individuals who are more comfortable with the tradition of status quo and this idea of traditional politics here in the Bronx that has proven itself not to work. And for me, as a community organizer and coming from grassroots movements, I just know what people power could really be doing in this seat and in this campaign. And I just think it's really important that public servants and elected officials remember who they're accountable to. It's community, and it's not real estate developers. It's not the status quo. And it's really important that we draw the line in the sand in our campaigns right now.
And also being aware of where the money's coming from all around. A lot of people are talking about real estate development money, and you might have a friend who is a real estate developer who gives you a small contribution, or you might have organizations who are super PACs donating millions of dollars into this campaign that's unfettered and unchecked money. So, we're going to talk about checking our elected officials and our candidates. We have to really make sure we dive into where this money's coming from, how much was spent, where was spent, and get to the bottom, so that, like Latchmi said, we can do the people's work and be accountable, because that's what matters. A $90 billion budget, we have to allocate that to our Harlemites and to our constituents across the city, instead of wherever it's going right now.
Yes. That goes back to the conversation about transparency that you guys do. I see that all of you have in common basically when it comes to your campaign. And I believe that's to also kind of help build the trust again in the community. Most do see that most people in the comments really do feel as though like they don't trust their leaders, especially now with everything happening in New York with Coleman and all of that. It makes it harder. So how are you basically trying to break that doubt in their mind, Miss Carmen? If you wouldn't mind answering that for me, please.
Well, again, it's grassroots. You have to be on the ground. You have to talk to people. You have to educate them on what is happening. And not only that, we have to hold these elected officials accountable. A lot of them, all they want to do is gain power. They promote people in the just to make sure that they have control of that district. And we must stop that. That's what's happening now through almost every campaign. Every elected official is supporting somebody that's going to be beholden to them. And this is not what we should be doing. And so, a lot of people says, well, do you expect endorsement? I expect my endorsements from my people. That's the endorsement that I need, right? Because if we keep going in this route, we are losing. Public housing is a big thing for me. I don't believe in privatization. As you know, that's a big thing in public housing. I even went on the RNC, swallowed my pride so that public housing could be on a national stage. Let me tell you something. The Democrats should have gave me that olive branch. Why did I have to go somewhere else to get it? And I got ridiculed for it, and it's okay, because you know what? I'm good in my own skin. But this is the stuff that you have to do. You don't talk the talk. You gotta walk the walk. And I do that every day outside with my people. But just know that these elected officials are putting candidates up so that they can control that district. We can't allow that. We cannot allow that. When we were young, we didn't know what it was to vote, right? And we learned what it was. Well, our vote does matter. And we cannot let people, take our vote for granted. And we have to keep educating our residents. We have to we must all be out in the street, holding hands with the community that's suffering every day. Not holding hands with an elected official to get a Photoshop. That's not what it's about. It's about my kids, it's about my grandkids and my great-grandkids. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I could just speak to that 1 second.
Go ahead.
If I could just speak to the fact that the status quo, that is what it is about. That once you take the money, they put you in compromising positions, right? So they compromise you with your integrity or with money, and then they control you. So once you drink from the cup, you are compromised and you cannot withdraw. And the reason, as an incumbent, I do not have the support of the Democratic Committee here in my city is because I refuse to do that. I refuse to be compromised. I vote always my conscience, and I vote always in the best interest of the community. So my city committee actually endorsed 2 white women, right? When 4 Black women were up as choices. I'm not saying all of them were good, but they endorsed 2 white women. And I, as an incumbent that has served this community with integrity, had uncompromising reputation, uncompromising. There's nobody who can accuse me of anything in this city. And I did not have that, but I'm fine with it. And the reason I'm fine with it is because I get to lose weight when I petition because I have to walk. And then I get to see the people and they tell me what the issues are. And they're like, so, and they know me. So people are like, Miss Farquharson, Miss Farquharson, Miss Farquharson. So it's a win for me. They actually gave me a blessing, right? Because they forced me to do what I've always done, which is to keep the connection with my people.
And that is something we find very rare, actually. And that is lovely to hear that your community actually has that much faith in you. Mr. Pierre, I was going to ask, Ms. Carmen did bring up the conversation about voting in the districts. How do you encourage your community to basically vote for you guys? I know it's really hard, especially with the young people there in most of, and which is mostly what you guys have, that's a higher demographic. I was actually very curious to see, how do you encourage young people to vote? How do you get them involved into the politics? Because they're that next generation that's gonna have to deal with the consequences of now. So how do you get them more and more involved in through high school and all the other good stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's something that's been touched on by everybody who's on this panel. And first, I want to say that City Councilor Farquharson has gone through these battles, and the sort of dispute over who controls Mount Vernon is very real. As her attorney, I can say that firsthand, and she's been doing good work. Now, in terms of getting our young people involved, it's what everyone's saying. We have to be in the community, first of all. We had 0 sponsored bills and are coming out of our city council leadership in the past 4 years, which we noted in 2017 was going to happen. And so when that happens, people lose interest because they say city council doesn't do anything. It's certainly not doing anything for me. So why would I go vote for my city councilor or care? And those individuals and residents and Harlemites are right. If we're not doing anything and not in the community, then people are going to lose interest. So it starts with being in the community every day. I ran 2 homeless shelters over the past 3 years in Harlem and Queens. And so you build a relationship with people. They start to trust that what you're going to do what you say because they see you do it time and time again, instead of elected officials coming out of nowhere, asking for a vote and then leaving, which is the common response when you're talking to individuals. They say, well, you folks promise, and then you leave and we never see you again until it's time for the next election. And then we have to stop because no one trusts anyone anymore. And it's a really big problem. And you lose that trust in the community really quickly, and it's very hard to gain it back. So we have to do it the opposite way. Transparency. All the NYC link billboards should have the bills and amendments and budget considerations, so people in Harlem and the rest of New York City know what's going on with our $90 billion budget and our $20 billion debt. Where are we going to allocate our resources? It should go to Harlem first, and the Bronx first, and our struggling districts. So that's what it's about. Being in the community, you will build that trust. Like Carmen said, the endorsements are fun, but it means nothing if you're not here doing the work. And over time, you'll build that. It's not easy, like you said, but it's achievable and you have to do it.
Gotcha. Ms. Gopal, I wanted to ask, what is really special about this year's election, though? City council election, and why is it important?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. I just want to add one thing about voter outreach, which I think ties into the why it's so important. So just to give some context, our city council district, District 15, sits in the congressional district, which is the lowest voter turnout in the entire country. And that's done purposefully. It's not that folks are not interested in what their community looks like, or they, not interested in the education services or the healthcare or what housing looks like. Is that they feel so neglected. They feel so disenfranchised from the process, and you see that with voter numbers, and you see that with voter outreach in general. Like what was mentioned, you have these sort of pop in, pop out elected officials who come, take their photo ops, and then leave, but are not in deep community with folks. And that, to answer your question just now about why is this so special, is because our budget are our public dollars, and they should be utilized, and the decisions around how those lines are allocated should come from community priorities. And here in the Bronx, and I'm sure in Harlem and Mount Vernon, what it is, do I have a place to live? Do I have a guaranteed next meal? Do I have access to healthcare that is proactive, preventative, and affordable, and not fiscally, doesn't create fiscal burden? Do I have an opportunity for jobs that don't require college degrees necessarily, but are we doing intentional vocational programming and apprenticeships? These things are important, and they have been important in our communities. But right now, this year is going to be make or break for a lot of our predominantly Black and brown working class immigrant communities that have been neglected for years and years, for decades. But when we look at rapid response and recovery after COVID, where our economy has taken a significant hit, we really have to leverage this budget so that those survival aspects of our day-to-day and the social contract that we're supposed to have with our city government is actually upheld, because it never has been in the Bronx. It sure as hell has been not in Harlem, and I know it hasn't been in Mount Vernon either. And this is a big problem. And this year is make or break, because we're enduring a global pandemic that has hit our health, that is both physical and mental, that has disenfranchised us immensely, and it just makes it feel impossible to navigate from day to day. And we need this budget to be leveraged in a way that's actually going to be proactive and helpful and decided on by community and not by folks who just want to make a profit off of our neighborhoods. And I think that's why it's that important.
That's a fantastic answer. I do remember that reading on Pierre that he does talk about these things when you say about education, healthcare, infrastructure. He does mention how people need to kind of like the unemployment has a huge effect on that as well. How it's not helping anybody in the community have a room to stay, a room to sleep in, food to eat, be able to pay their healthcare bills. And I know, especially in America, that's a whole state issue, where healthcare is not free, so it's like, how do you guys as a unit, I would say in this case, because you've already agreed that you are a unit because you have the same problems, how as a unit can you make a change that will be better for the next generation, like Mrs. Carmen's kids, her grandkids, how can we make it better as not just the councilmen's doing their job, but also as a community?
Well, look at housing justice and look at what it costs to actually move into affordable housing right now. It costs about $63,000 to move into what is called affordable housing. The median income in Harlem is $35,000. So without dropping a dime in the bucket, we could lower that median income to reflect the districts that we live in and allow thousands of Harlemites, millions of New York City residents to move into affordable housing. And so if you have priorities like that, you will dramatically impact New York City residents' lives, even as you are savvy with this pending budget debt and deficit that is clearly going to be very large and something that we have to counteract, whether we're talking about taxes or we're talking about policies that bring in receipts. We're going to have to be creative. So you start with housing justice, education. All the schools in the districts we're talking about have been failing for decades. And we have a conversation about charter schools and traditional public schools and which ones are better and why. The schools that aren't doing well in our district, we have to raise up one by one. And everybody on this call knows this and gets this, but these are issues that have been prevalent for decades. And so the conversation has to stop. We have to do the work, and then we can change lives. The homeless shelters that we were helping to run overnight, we have working homeless. People are getting up at 5 a.m. and going to work and then going to the shelter. So they're doing their part. We have to help them out. New York City stimulus will help a lot of people if we ever get to it. These are initiatives switching to Abbott rapid testing, so we know if students and teachers and parents have COVID before they walk into a classroom. We can change lives right now. The city council has so much authority, and it's part of the transparency is allowing people to know what it is that city council does and can do. Okay, that's actually, we would love to touch on that on another day, because right now we're kind of running out of time. Mrs. Carmen, would you start us off, please, for the closing remarks, and what would your advice be or your final message be for the voters in your community?
First, I think that, first of all, let me thank you guys. This has been so actually emotional and overwhelming that we are all in this fight. I always say God has a purpose for all of us, and I think this is it. My closing remarks to anybody is that we definitely have to change. We really, once we get in that city council, we have to look at that budget. We have to find out what they did with that money. There's so much corruption going on. We don't know what we're gonna face when we go in if we really look at it. But we must be adamant about what we're gonna do. And most of all, save our CBOs that are right around us. you know, that so many of them are disenfranchised. We need to definitely also look into not affordable housing, but low income. See, they get that a little twisted. Affordable, low. We need low income. Our guys come out of jail. They have nowhere to go. They put them in the same SROs, okay, that got them in jail in the first place. We have to make sure that when they come out and do their time, that they have somewhere safe to be and a job to come home to. There are so many issues that it's overwhelming. But all I can say is, please, when you go to vote, vote for the people that are going to do something for you. Not because you like that guy, not because he's been your city council for eons or whatever. We need to learn how to vote and know that your vote matters. It matters. And you can make or break any elected official. And we really need to get our priorities straight. Your family comes first. Vote for the people that are on the ground, that we've been doing all the work here for 35 years. Every elected official has not done that. No elected official came when people were hungry. No elected officials came here when you needed something. That's what you need to look at. What are they doing for you?
We appreciate
I
that.
am that candidate.
Anybody who wants to touch on, we have about less than a minute left with our viewers. Anybody just wants to jump off of that? Or are we all in agreement?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Carmen, Latchmi, City Councilor Farquharson, New York Parrot. This has been a pleasure. Come out and vote June 22nd, Democratic primary for myself and Carmen. Latchmi has a special election coming up. Go out and vote. Create the positive change in the Bronx and in Harlem that we're talking about, and Mount Vernon. Harlem first. Let's go.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you all. Thank you for joining us on The Politics on Parrot TV. We appreciate you guys all taking the time. We're just thankful, really. As a person that didn't know much, I'm actually very informative, and learning all about you makes it a lot more easier. So my advice to everybody, just read up on all your councilmen or councilwomen and find out what they're doing for you and how they can best improve your life, because that's what really matters right now. Thank you all so much. Wish you all a happy, good day, and congratulations on the graduation. You guys have a lovely day. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.